And joining us in studio right now from the Washington Times, Miss Emily Miller is with us. How you doing, Emily?
Fine, thank you.
I appreciate it. Now, if you do me a favor, if you would just pull that microphone a little bit closer to you, and that way you don't have
Or
to
scooch me
yell and
closer?
scream, or scooch a little closer.
There we go. How's that?
It's great. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So DC's gun law is still all messed up, huh?
I'll tell you. This is why I'm back.
Yeah.
So we talked about this last week, that I found all these places in DC's, both their on their website and in their packet, which I brought with me today to show you, Firearms Registry, General Requirements and Study Guide.
Okay.
And all these places where their firearms transport laws are totally incorrect. And
They're
this
just
is what
wrong.
they give out to the public. So if you're a DC firearm owner, you get this packet of paper, and mine, as you can see, is well worn because it took me 4 months to get a gun, and I had to use this guide all the time and highlighted. Or if you're non-resident, you look on their website and you find out how can I legally transport a firearm. Well, if you did, you would find things like page 10, which is, no person shall carry or possess a firearm on public space in the District of Columbia unless traveling directly to or from a lawful firearm-related activity, parentheses, registration, hunting, shooting at a practice range, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I read that, I called the registry office and I said, just to be clear, I want to go shooting in Virginia. And I said, can I stop for gas? And they said, no. I said, can I go to the bathroom? They said, no. I said, once I'm in Virginia, can I do those things? No, because then you wouldn't be going directly to or from. And if we pull you over, we're going to want evidence of why you're out past the time the shooting range closed, for example. So anyway, point of that is that this is not true. This is not the law. I mean, granted,
That may
that's
be what they
say.
want the law to be,
right?
but they can't have the law be that way.
It's not the actual law. So I read the actual law, DC law, and it's very reasonable. It's just like the federal law. It says if you have the right to possess and carry legally, you can go anywhere where you also have the right to possess and carry legally for any lawful purpose. So as long as you're not committing a crime, that's fine. So I can just drive to Virginia to go shooting range, and I can stop for gas, and I can stop for a cup of coffee, and that's completely fine. But that's not what they're distributing to the public.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like what
city.
they're distributing to the public is actually the law of the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, which is fine for New Jersey to do, but this is the legal document from the city.
Yeah.
What they also do, the second major problem with this, is that they say, if you are stopped by, and this, by the way, is printed by the police department. So, this is what the police are giving themselves, and this is what they know to be the law. It says, if you are stopped by any police agency in the District of Columbia with a firearm in your possession, you must immediately produce the registration certificate and substantiate your lawful reason for transporting the firearm. Okay, that's not true. You do not have to voluntarily say, I have a firearm. And if you're not a resident, you're not going to have to provide a registration certificate. And you don't have to substantiate your reason for carrying it because you're transporting it for a lawful purpose. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, although this registry office said to me, you also need to immediately tell them that you have a gun. I spoke to a lawyer, Richard Gardner, who's representing Dick Heller now, who successfully ended the 30-year handgun ban by taking this case to the Supreme Court. Richard Heller said, well, your constitutional right is to remain silent. So first of all, there's no reason that you need to voluntarily say that you have a gun, legally in any capacity. And if asked, it's your right to say nothing. So again, it's on the website. It's in their documentation. And then finally, there's this law in the books, and this is actually a law. These things are fake interpretation by the police and by the city that they're giving out to the public. But there's an actual law in the books that is for non-residents. And this is what's, I think, the most problemsome is going to be because D.C. attracts so many tourists.
Right.
And most states, or all states, don't have gun laws like D.C. does. And 45 states don't require registration. So it's virtually impossible if you're not from D.C. to prove you have a legal gun. Well, there's this law in the books that's been on for years, and they haven't taken it off. And it says any non-resident of the district participating in any lawful recreational firearm-related activity in the district or on his way to or from such activity in another jurisdiction, provided that such person, whenever in possession of firearms, shall, upon demand of any member of the Metropolitan Police Department or other law enforcement, exhibit proof that he is on his way to or from the activity and his possession of control of such firearm is lawful in the jurisdiction in which he resides. Now that's still on the books. And that's what the police believe. And that's why you see I read you earlier, why the police say you have to go to or from lawful, recreational activities.
Right.
They're getting it from this old law that applies to non-residents, but this still applies. So anybody who's in D.C. who's a non-resident could be asked for proof of their firearm being legal, which is almost impossible if you're not from a state that doesn't register, and to prove that you're going to a recreational activity, which who could, because what if you're just driving between states? So that law, I spoke to Phil Mendelson's office. He's the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and wrote these laws in D.C. And they said, well, that law has been overturned, or not overturned, has been, I don't know the legal term, squashed kind of by the more current law, which says to or from, which is similar to federal. The problem is it's still on the books. Now, Richard Gardner, a lawyer, pointed out to me, which is very true, is that non-residents can actually go into D.C., say there was a gun show in D.C.
Right.
You would be able to that law makes it legal for you to transport your gun into D.C., as well as say there was a shooting range. Wouldn't allow me as a resident, but would allow you as a non-resident.
Yeah.
So
I get both those are hypotheticals right now. You might as well say, when they allow unicorns to graze in Rock Creek Park.
Right.
We'll probably right about the same time we have a gun show in Washington, D.C.
Good point. But so
but
I mean,
still,
you don't know. But then we're saying there could be times when this law might actually be useful on the books. But
right.
for now, it's I think very dangerous. There are quite a few cases in D.C. of people who have been pulled over by maybe Capitol Police or Secret Service, either have a gun, don't know the laws, and it happens all the time. When I've just recently went to Maryland, I looked on the state police website, had horrible information on transport laws, but that's what people do is when responsible firearm owners do when they're going between states, is look on the website and find out what the laws are.
Right, absolutely.
And these anti-gun states like D.C., like Maryland, I would say, like you say, like New Jersey, I haven't looked, but Massachusetts, don't put this stuff either, in D.C.'s case, give you totally incorrect information. So the chances of a false arrest are really high because they're giving the bad information to the cops as well. But, I think what the point of it is to drive us all from going through D.C., driving those residents from leaving our homes and other people, tourists, from taking their firearms through the city. But I'm frustrated now because it's been 3 weeks since I've been working on this and talking to the city council and talking to the police about it. And they refuse. The city council, Mendelson, admits that the police are putting out the wrong information and he wants to get it changed. And he does have oversight, but nothing's changed. The police will not even admit they've got the wrong laws out there. So I thought maybe it's just laziness. Maybe they're not going to take the time to figure this out. I'll do it for them, even though there's 6 full-time police in charge of this office in the city. But fine. So that's what this latest story is in the Washington Times. I took apart these things and I said, look on page 10, look on the website, which is a terrible website, but look on it and look at this site. This is where it's incorrect. These are the things you need to change. So it's on black and white. And I mean, I've done everything I can to get them to do this.
Right.
And at this point, I'm really not sure what to do, but I was happy to hear, and I think I'm going to have a lot more say in getting these things changed next week.
Yes.
Well, this is kind of exciting. I have the chairman of the D.C. City Council is a man named Kwame Brown.
Right.
And he came to the Washington Times in September. We had this newsmaker roundtable with him, and I had started my gun series, and I said to him, Mr. Chairman, I asked him about the guns, and he kind of kept giving me a runaround. I said, it's so hard. The city makes it so difficult. And he's giving me the runaround, and just squarely said, do you believe in the Second Amendment? And sort of like a no-brainer question because you don't really have to. It's not really optional. The Constitution, it is what it is. And he wouldn't answer. And he never did answer. And the only thing he ever said was, in response to that, is I don't think there should be more guns on the street in Washington. So flash forward now, a few weeks ago, I was at City Council for the first vote on this bill that I've been pushing for and very happy to see, which will make registration process easier. And he saw me in the hall and he said, Emily, I want to go shooting with you. And He is a charmer. So I was like, oh, okay, Mr. Chairman, that sounds great. We'll go shooting. He goes, I've never shot a gun. I have a friend who has a gun.
Yeah.
It's like a friend. I have a friend who has a gun. I'm one of you people.
Right.
And he said, I've never shot a gun. I said, okay. So he's like, arrange with my staff. So I didn't really I said to his staff, and I never heard back from them. Well, all of a sudden this week, I get an email from his chief of staff saying the chairman wants to know why you haven't taken him shooting yet. So he's serious. So we're going next Friday. I'm going to teach him. I'm going to be the teacher. Yes. Well,
Wow.
I might ask for some help at the range because we don't want to hurt the city council chairman. He'll be fine. So I'm going to teach him the NRA 3 rules. We'll start with that.
Yeah.
And the fundamentals. And I think that I don't know what his motivation is for wanting to do this, but I think that, any politician who's so anti-gun, and I think anybody's anti-gun, part of it is that, they haven't had experience with them. There's this, I only shot a gun for the first time in my life in October.
Right.
And I was scared of them, and I kind of had this weird feeling, which I think a lot of people have, is that they're somehow going to explode. It's somehow just going to go off, and that's why you don't want to touch it. And, but like touching it, opening it, cleaning it. Well, I haven't cleaned my gun yet, but everybody knows that. I'm going to get to that. I've seen people clean their guns. But opening it and seeing the pieces, you realize nothing explodes. It's pieces of metal. I went to the Beretta factory and saw how it was put together. And,
Yeah.
Just sort of understanding it and then shooting it, it's like, first of all, it's so fun and so exciting. But also, you realize that this is a great weapon of self-defense. It's not going to hurt someone. I'm not going to hurt anyone innocent. God willing. And, and so I think that will give him a different impression, and he'll have sort of a, less anti-gun perspective, coming from the most anti-gun government in the country.
I'm very curious. Now, I don't know if they're listening tonight, but it'll be fun because you can't go to D.C., right? Or
Right.
are you going to go to the police range, or are you going to go?
No. He said, I want to go because I gave him options. I said, we can go to NRA.
Yeah.
I bet they might even close it down for you. Because he's got, police security, and I doubt an
Right.
open range was my thought. And he said, no, I want to go where everybody else goes. I don't want it closed. I want to go where everyone else goes. And I don't even know if he knows open and closed, but
Okay.
so we're going to go to Sharpshooters in Lorton.
Oh, nice. Well, okay. Well, you know what you need to do? You need to stop when you get into Virginia, and you need to I need to go grab a Coke or something. I'm having a coughing fit. I just need some gum or something. And then when you go back to the car, say, so do you think that I should go to prison for that? Did I violate D.C. law?
Or just stop for gas.
There you go. And just ask him, should this be, this is what you're saying is a
Yeah.
felony. This is, these are the real world
Or
examples.
when he gets there, I'll say, sir, I hope you're not hungry because according to the police, you can't stop to get something to eat on the way home. And I hope you don't need gas. We'll just make this very obvious.
Exactly.
And I think that especially will get back to what we started with is the fact that the city council and the police will not change the incorrect information they're giving to the public. I think having the chairman of the city council see in real life what it means when we talk about transporting. And he'll see my gun locked in the back of my car because it has to be locked in D.C.
Right.
Because I have an SUV. And that stopping for gas doesn't mean I'm going to go start shooting up the Exxon. And it doesn't mean someone's going to carjack me, as the police told me. That's what they said was the fear. So I think a real life experience will go far.
All right. Now, you're not, Marion Barry hasn't asked to go shooting, has he?
Well, Marion Barry, I should say, I talked to him briefly at the last
Because
city
I would
council
have
meeting.
to encourage you to just say no to that, I think. I mean, we do want to foster outreach, but
He
yeah.
actually said to me, because he was very suspect, as I was the only one asking about guns in the whole city council. As you can imagine, it's not a hot topic among the journalists in Washington either. And he said, I'm supporting it, but that NRA, they want. I didn't even mention the NRA. He goes, the NRA, they want guns everywhere. They don't want anyone to have rules. They want the Wild West. They want the guns. Everyone have a gun. And I said, yes, sir. Actually, they do.
Yeah, Marion Barry is full of opinions about all different kinds of groups. The NRA, he thinks wanted everybody to have a gun. It says there are too many Asians coming in and opening up businesses in Washington, D.C. Do you see that, Emily?
Oh, my.
Yes, they ought to go, he says. We've got to do something about these Asians coming in and opening up businesses and dirty shops.
Oh, my
They ought to
gosh.
go. I'm going to say that right now. But we need African-American business people to be able to take their places. So
Where is he going to send all the Asian business owners in Washington?
I don't know. They can come to
And
Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean,
Create some jobs over here.
we like business. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. How
He's
about
going to
that?
shut down all the, and I guess he'll just go in and just assess by looks if you're Asian and black or how. And he just got reelected on Tuesday with like 70% of the vote.
I know.
It's like I don't know what to say. It's my city. Witch set me up.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It's just unbelievable that Marion Barry just keeps getting reelected.
I know. And arrested. Both.
Yeah, well, there you go. Hey, Emily, as always, appreciate you coming in, and would love to talk to you next week after your field trip.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Emily Miller with the Washington Times joining us in studio tonight.